Every person alive is fighting a war you cannot see. A war not against nations or armies, but against the pull of their own impulses. A war where the battlefield is the mind, the soldiers are thoughts, and the prize is the life you were meant to live. Desire is loud. It shouts for comfort, for pleasure, for the easy path. It whispers to you at midnight to take the shortcut, to skip the work, to let tomorrow carry the weight you were meant to lift today. It is the hand that reaches for the dessert when your health is at stake. It is the voice that says you've done enough when your dream demands more. It is the pull of the couch when the world outside is calling you to rise. Discipline is quiet. It does not beg for attention. It does not seduce you with promises of instant gratification. Discipline waits, steady, immovable, for you to choose it. It will not chase you, but if you reach for it, it will give you the power to build anything you can imagine. Napoleon Hill understood this truth when he wrote, "A man without self-control is like a ship without a rudder. Without discipline, you will drift in whatever direction the winds of desire blow. You might move fast, you might even feel alive in the moment, but you will never arrive at the shores you dreamed of reaching." Look at the giants of history: Edison, Carnegie, Ford, Disney, Lincoln. They were not born with extraordinary discipline. They forged it. Edison stayed in his lab through endless nights, failing thousands of times before light broke through. Carnegie disciplined his mind to focus on a single industry, rejecting 100 tempting opportunities that could have scattered his empire into dust. Ford resisted the urge to follow the crowd, holding fast to his vision of an automobile for the masses, while critics laughed. Their desires were many, but their discipline was greater. You must understand, desire is not your enemy. It is raw energy. But without discipline, that energy burns without direction, like a fire consuming everything in its path, but producing nothing of value. With discipline, desire becomes a controlled flame, powerful enough to light cities, forge steel, and drive the engines of industry. The difference between those who live with regret and those who live with legacy is not desire. It is the ability to command themselves when desire pulls them away from what they know must be done. Discipline is the act of saying no to what you want now for the sake of what you want most. It is trading the intoxication of the moment for the satisfaction of the lifetime. It is delaying the applause until the work is complete. Think of a sculptor standing before a block of marble. Desire is the urge to quit when the chisel slips, when the dust blinds the eyes, when the hands ache from the repetition. Discipline is the refusal to stop until the hidden statue is revealed. Without discipline, the marble stays unshaped, the masterpiece never born. We live in an age where desire is fed more than at any other point in human history. Every screen, every ad, every voice tells you to indulge, to give in, to treat yourself. The modern world is a buffet for your impulses, endless, immediate, and addictive. But here is the truth no one will tell you. Every time you feed desire without discipline, you weaken the very muscle that could carry you to greatness. When Hill wrote about definiteness of purpose in Think and Grow Rich, he wasn't talking about a wish or a vague hope. He was talking about a burning obsession. An obsession is only useful when paired with the discipline to feed it daily. He said, "A quitter never wins, and a winner never quits." Discipline is the refusal to quit, not just on the big dreams, but on the small daily commitments that shape them. Your body will not choose discipline for you. Your emotions will not choose discipline for you. The world will certainly not choose discipline for you. Discipline is a conscious decision repeated so many times that it becomes part of your identity. And once it becomes part of you, the war changes. Temptation still comes, but you meet it with steel in your spine instead of weakness in your knees. You no longer negotiate with your impulses, you command them. This is the inner battle every builder of empires has fought. It is why Lincoln could endure years of defeat before the presidency. It is why Disney could work through bankruptcy to bring his visions to life. It is why Carnegie could rise from a poor Scottish immigrant to the richest man in America. They won the war within, and so the world without was theirs to shape. You will be tempted to think discipline is about restriction, about living a smaller, harder life. It is not. Discipline is about liberation. When you master discipline, you free yourself from the tyranny of your impulses. You are no longer chained to the mood of the moment. You are no longer at the mercy of distraction. You are free to act with power, to decide with clarity, to build with certainty. Desire asks, what feels good now? Discipline asks, what will feel right forever? If you want wealth, discipline will tell you to invest instead of spend. If you want health, discipline will tell you to train instead of lounge. If you want mastery, discipline will tell you to study instead of scroll. And if you listen to it long enough, discipline will lead you exactly where desire always hoped you'd end up, but could never take you on its own. There is a reason armies drill daily, even in peacetime. They are preparing for the day when the stakes are real. Your discipline is your daily drill for the battles of your life. You do not practice self-control for the easy days. You practice it for the days when everything in you screams to give in. And here is the greatest truth. Discipline is not something you are born with. It is something you build. Every time you choose it over desire, you lay another stone in the fortress of your will. At first, it feels impossible, like lifting a weight that will crush you. But over time, that weight becomes your strength. There will be mornings when you do not want to rise. Rise anyway. There will be costs you do not want to face. Face them anyway. There will be moments when you feel weak, when you feel tired, when you feel you cannot endure another step. Endure anyway, because every anyway is a victory. Every anyway is a step toward the version of yourself that desire cannot control. Discipline is the foundation of self-mastery. Without it, you are a kingdom with no walls, open to every invading force, fear, doubt, laziness, and distraction. With it, you are a fortress. The storms may rage outside, but within, you remain unmoved. Napoleon Hill taught that self-discipline begins with the mastery of your thoughts. You cannot control the winds of the world, but you can control the sails of your mind. And once you learn to steer your thoughts, you can steer your actions. Control the mind and the body follows. Control the body and the results are inevitable. But this mastery does not come by accident. It comes by choice, a deliberate shaping of your mental environment. You are the gatekeeper of your own mind. Every idea, every influence, every belief must pass through you before it is allowed to take root. Ask yourself, what do I allow in? The conversations you engage in, the books you read, the images you consume, the voices you listen to, these are the seeds you plant in the garden of your mind. If you plant weeds, do not expect a harvest of roses. Carnegie surrounded himself with brilliant thinkers who challenged him to rise higher. Edison guarded his mind from those who told him it can't be done. Disney refused to let the bankruptcy court define his imagination. They all understood that your environment is not neutral. It is either shaping you toward your vision or pulling you away from it. Self-mastery is not just about saying no to the wrong things. It is about saying yes to the right things over and over until they become your natural state. The disciplined mind wakes up to purpose, not to impulse. It feeds on clarity instead of confusion. It breathes in focus and exhales creation. But understand this, discipline is not rigid. True discipline is adaptable. It is the steel spine that allows you to bend without breaking. Look at the history of Ford. When the Model T ruled the roads, Ford's discipline was legendary. But his initial refusal to adapt nearly destroyed him. The market evolved, tastes changed, and his competitors surged ahead. It was only when he disciplined not just his habits, but his thinking, that he reclaimed his place. This is the lesson. Discipline without flexibility becomes stubbornness, and stubbornness can ruin a kingdom faster than laziness. In the inner battle, adaptability is a weapon. You must be willing to change your strategy without abandoning your mission. You must be willing to reinvent yourself while staying true to your purpose. Discipline gives you the endurance to fight. Adaptability gives you the intelligence to win. And yet, there is a deeper force at work beneath both. Vision. Without vision, discipline becomes routine. Without vision, You are a soldier without a cause, marching in perfect order toward nothing in particular. Vision is the architect's blueprint for the life you are building. It tells you not just what to do, but why. It is the image in your mind so clear, so compelling, that the pull of it is stronger than the pull of every distraction. When Hill spoke of definiteness of purpose, he was speaking of vision. He was speaking of that burning desire that no setback, no failure, no delay could extinguish. Vision is not a wish. It is a demand you make of yourself and of the world. Edison envisioned a world lit by electricity before most had even seen a light bulb. Carnegie envisioned an empire of steel before the skyscraper had been born. Disney envisioned Disneyland down to the smell of the popcorn and the sound of laughter before the first brick was laid. They all woke each morning with a picture in their minds so vivid that discipline became not a burden, but a privilege, the daily act of bringing that vision to life. But vision alone will not save you on the days when motivation is gone. That is when you must call on the higher form of discipline, emotional control. The world is filled with people of talent, vision, and skill who have been defeated not by others, but by their own emotions. Anger blinds, fear paralyzes, impatience destroys. Discipline over desire is not just about controlling physical impulses. It is about mastering emotional impulses. J.P. Morgan built his financial empire not because he avoided crises, but because he kept his head when others lost theirs. While panic spread like wildfire in the markets, he moved with calm precision, turning chaos into opportunity. This is emotional discipline, Theon. The ability to remain the master of yourself when the world spins out of control. Hill said, "If you do not conquer self, you will be conquered by self. The man who cannot control his temper will destroy his partnerships. The woman who cannot control her fear will bury her opportunities. The leader who cannot control his ego will lose the loyalty of those who follow him." Discipline is not coldness. It is not suppression. It is channeling. It is taking the raging river of your emotions and directing it through the turbines that power your progress. And when discipline over desire becomes your way of life, something extraordinary happens. You begin to trust yourself. Not the fragile trust of hoping you'll follow through, but the deep, unshakable trust of knowing you will. You become the kind of person whose word, even to yourself, is law. This self-trust is the ultimate power in the inner battle. Because when you trust yourself, you no longer need permission to act. You no longer wait for the perfect conditions. You no longer hesitate at the edge of opportunity. You simply move, with the certainty that your discipline will carry you through whatever comes next. Resilience is where discipline proves its worth, because there will come a time, perhaps sooner than you expect, when all your plans collapse, when the progress you fought for crumbles overnight, when you are faced not with one obstacle, but an entire wall blocking your path. This is where most people surrender. They throw down their tools, curse their luck, and walk away from the dream they once swore was non-negotiable. Why? Because they never train for the moment when the world says no. Resilience is the companion of discipline. Discipline gets you to the battlefield. Resilience keeps you fighting when the ground turns to mud. Look to Abraham Lincoln. Before he became one of the most revered leaders in history, he faced more defeats than victories. Failed businesses, lost elections, personal tragedy. Each blow could have been the end. But Lincoln understood a truth that too many never grasp. Your ability to endure is often more important than your ability to advance. Thomas Edison said, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That is resilience spoken with conviction. It is the discipline to keep showing up after the excitement fades, after the applause dies, after the results stall. Resilience is not blind stubbornness. It is intelligent persistence, the willingness to adapt, to adjust your sails, to shift your strategy while refusing to abandon your purpose. Because the storms will come, the markets will crash, the deals will fall apart. The people you counted on will sometimes vanish when you need them most. And in those moments, desire will scream at you to quit. It will whisper in your ear that maybe it wasn't meant to be, that maybe the timing is wrong, that maybe you've done enough. But discipline will speak differently. It will not sugarcoat the hardship. It will simply remind you. You said you would not stop until you reached it. And resilience will answer, then we endure. Resilience is forged in the smallest acts. It is in waking up one more day to push forward, even when the last 30 days felt like moving a mountain with a spoon. It is in making the call after the last 5 went unanswered. It is in rewriting the plan after the last one failed in your hands. The disciplined and the resilient understand something the rest of the world forgets. You cannot lose if you refuse to quit. You can fail, you can fall, you can be knocked down so hard the breath leaves your body, but you cannot lose if you rise again. History will not remember the times you fell. It will remember the one time you refused to stay down. And here's the paradox that makes all of this worth it. Discipline, which feels like sacrifice in the moment, becomes freedom in the long run. The man who lacks discipline is a slave to his habits, his moods, his impulses. He is at the mercy of the easy choice, and the easy choice rarely builds the life worth living. But the man who chooses discipline over desire becomes free. Free from regret, free from the chains of inconsistency, free from the fear of whether he will follow through, because he already knows he will. Henry Ford once said, "A man who stops advertising to save money is like a man who stops a clock to save time." The undisciplined mind looks for shortcuts that destroy the destination. The disciplined mind invests, even when it hurts, because it sees beyond the present moment. This freedom is not about doing whatever you feel like. It is about doing what must be done so that later you can do whatever you dream of. Discipline is the quiet architect of greatness. It designs in the shadows while desire chases distractions in the light. It lays bricks on days when no one is watching. It sharpens tools when the crowd is gone. And one day, when the structure is complete, the world calls it an overnight success. But you know better. You know it was built in the boring, unglamorous hours where discipline stood guard and desire was kept in its place. And when you reach that point, when you have walked the path long enough to see the fruit of your discipline, you will realize something profound. The battle was never truly against the world. It was never against the market, the competition, or the obstacles. It was always against yourself, against the weaker version of you that wanted comfort more than growth, ease more than mastery, and applause more than achievement. Napoleon Hill said, "If you do not conquer self, you will be conquered by self." Every empire begins with self-conquest. Every fortune begins with the mastery of the man or woman in the mirror. Every legacy is written by those who learn to command themselves first. And so, the final question is not whether you will face this inner battle, because you will. The question is whether you will win it, not once, not twice, but daily, because the battle for discipline over desire is never truly over. It is fought every morning when you wake. It is fought every night when you decide whether to prepare for tomorrow or drift into distraction. It is fought in every choice, every conversation, every moment you are tempted to break the promises you made to yourself. Win that battle and the rest of the world is yours to shape. Lose it and no amount of talent, luck, or opportunity will save you. So rise each day as a soldier of your own destiny. Sharpen your mind, guard your heart, discipline your actions. And when desire tempts you to surrender, smile, because you know this is the moment you were made for. This is the inner battle, and you are here to win. And so we come to the summit, the place where the climb has stripped away every excuse, every illusion, every comfort you once thought you needed. Up here, in the thin air, you see the truth with perfect clarity. Discipline was never your jailer. It was your liberator. Desire told you to take the easy path. It promised pleasure without the price, gain without the grind. But you learned that desire without discipline is a mirage. It fades the closer you get, leaving you thirsty in the desert. Discipline promised nothing but the work. It demanded your mornings, your focus, your sweat, your patience, and yet it delivered everything desire could not. Strength, self-respect, mastery, freedom. Look at your life through this lens. Every victory you have ever had came from discipline. Every regret you've ever carried came from the absence of it. Think of the men and women who became immortal in the pages of history. They all bled for their discipline. Edison, laboring night after night, chasing light while the rest of the world slept. Lincoln, enduring loss after loss, carrying the weight of a divided nation with unshakable resolve. Disney, bankrupt and ridiculed, sketching dreams on scraps of paper until the world believed. Ford, building an industry from steel and vision, holding the line against every voice that told him to stop. They were not born special. They were born ordinary, as we all are, but they chose discipline over desire, again and again and again, until the choice became who they were. This is your path too. It does not belong to the gifted few. It belongs to those willing to fight the inner war until the weaker self is gone. It belongs to those who would rather sweat for a lifetime than regret for a lifetime. Discipline is not about denying yourself joy. It is about earning a joy so deep, so pure, so unshakable that nothing can take it from you. It is the guanan of looking in the mirror and knowing you are the kind of person who can be trusted by others, but most importantly, by yourself. It is the joy of walking into the storm with your head high, knowing you will not break. It is the joy of standing at the summit of your own life, knowing every inch of the climb was yours to command. The world will tell you to chase your desires, or it will drown you in images of the life you could have if only you indulge now. But the truth they do not show you, is that the richest, most fulfilled, most unshakable lives are built not by chasing every desire, but by mastering them. Napoleon Hill said, "A man is just as big as the measure of his own self-control. If you can govern yourself, you can govern your destiny. If you can master the small temptations, you can command the great opportunities." This is the inner battle, and no one can fight it for you. No one can wake for you, work for you, push for you, endure for you. It is you, and it has always been you. But here is the gift. The more battles you win, the fewer battles you must fight. Discipline becomes your nature. The war becomes a dance. The resistance that once held you down becomes the very force that lifts you higher. So when you wake tomorrow and every day after, know this: you are not at the mercy of your desires. You are not a victim of your impulses. You are the commander. You are the architect. You are the master of yourself. And in mastering yourself, you have unlocked the most powerful truth a human being can know: that the man or woman who can win the inner battle can win any battle. Discipline over desire. Every day, every choice, every moment. Because when the final page of your story is written and the world looks at what you built, they will not see the temptations you resisted. They will see the life you created. And they will know, as you will know, that you earned it, not by luck, not by chance, but by victory in the only war that ever truly mattered.